Well, are you ready for some unindoctrination? I hope so. It is not your normal Sunday. And what better time than to talk about some white Dianetics than on Sunday morning, folks? Good to have you here. Good to be here. And we'll be having our show again tomorrow night. Late Night in the Heartland comes on at 10 p.m. We're going to get back to High Noon in the Heartland as well, coming on at noon, all Monday through Friday. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to talk about. A lot of interesting stuff today, and it's in a world that has gone crazy. And I think I forgot to put myself up on D Live. What's up with that? I know we're there, but I didn't change the videos and stuff. So nice to see you on D Live, even though I forgot about it. Nice to see you on Facebook, even though I forgot about that. And YouTube, I barely remembered. But anyway, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump right into this. Let's just go for it without any preliminaries or preambles. And let's just ask the question, can you catch crazy? Can you catch crazy? Is insanity inherited in any way? Give you just a second to ponder that. Think about that. Even the Joker talked about what happened to him as a kid and all that kind of stuff. So is insanity inherited? Can you catch crazy? Well, let's talk a little about the contagion of aberration. And in these days of stupid 19, of control virus, of the pandemic, we understand the word contagion. We've heard the word contagion. And a contagion basically is something that makes you sick. A contagion is something basically that they say can infect you. And a disease is a contagion. And I want to submit to you today that aberrations are just as contagious, perhaps more so, than regular disease, because they're actually energetically transmitted. You know, you talk about an airborne pathogen, a bloodborne pathogen. Well, what about an energetic-borne pathogen? And first of all, what's an aberration? If you haven't watched the Create Yourself series, then you're kind of behind the 8 ball. But a aberration basically is what I call a demon circuit. It's something that is done to you that makes you act out in ways that you don't want to act out. It's a demon circuit, but it's not really an entity. It's just a thing, and that's what we're helping people wrap their mind around with this whole series. And we are energetic beings, no doubt about it. So aberrations are just as contagious, I say more so, than disease, because aberrations carry forward from individual to individual, from parent to child. They don't respect anybody, and there's no such thing as immunity until they're stopped by Dianetics. Dianetics is the only thing that can stop an aberration. And this world is in trouble because of aberration. That's why this world's in trouble. And I've been studying it for 40 years, and I'm convinced that that's the way it is. And on this channel, that's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. And people in the old days, back in the old days, right? We knew instinctively, ladies and gentlemen. We knew instinctively, ladies and gentlemen, that crazy is something you can catch. We all knew back in the day that crazy parents often ended up with crazy ass kids. And if you saw a crazy ass kid, you could look, and a lot of times the parent was just as crazy ass. So you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be an expert. All you have to do is be observant. You look at the parents, that mofo is crazy. You look at a kid, that little bitch is crazy. Or you can do it the other way. You look at a kid. Oh, that little bitch is crazy. Oh, no wonder. There's mama. And she's four kind of nuts. We've always known this. But now it's much too politically incorrect to point out that crazy people have crazy kids and crazy runs in families. And guess what? Crazy runs in states. Some of y'all, your states are much more crazy than our state. And unfortunately, crazy also runs in countries. And if you don't think that's true, have a look around you. Have a look around you. The nut doesn't fall far from the tree. And that is for certain. Brandon talks about shopping at Walmart. If you ever want to have your confidence and your hope in the human race shaken, go spend an hour at Walmart. Go spend an hour at Walmart. Oh my. Wow. But we don't want to get lost there. So there is actually genetic insanity, but genetic insanity is actually limited by physical things that are broken, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm having to play cop over here a little bit. And now I can't do it. Oh, well. But there is genetic insanity, but it's limited to the cases of actually missing parts. And only a small percentage of insanity falls into this category. And remember, people that are messed up, crazy, they can also be aberrated. So just because you're crazy doesn't mean that you can't have aberration, because you can. Now, here's a reason why a lot of us end up getting ENGRAMs when we don't understand about getting ENGRAMs. Because I've just lost my train of thought here, but that's okay. Remember, an ENGRAM can only be got or can only be caught or got in a moment of unconsciousness, which is full or partial. That's the only way that you get an ENGRAM, is when your analytical mind is reduced a little bit. And people habitually go into unconscious mode when someone around them begins dramatizing. Can we kind of get on point in the chat room? We're not here to talk about Walmart. We're not here to talk about the people of Walmart. We're here to talk about aberration, and we're here to talk about, can you catch crazy? Can we stop with the crazy in the chat room a little bit? Can you tell them a little bit upset? So forget Walmart. We don't even want to shop there anymore. How about enough free advertising for Walmart? Okay. Back on track, ladies and gentlemen. We kind of automatically, habitually go into unconscious mode when someone around us begins dramatizing. If you're in Walmart and somebody begins dramatizing, you kind of just shut them down. And if you're not careful, if you don't really know how to run your mind, you're not there. You're not really just shutting that person out. You're shutting down your analytical mind a little bit. And when you shut down your analytical mind, you can actually be impacted by their dramatizing, and it can actually create an engram in your mind. So you've got to learn how to run your dome. When someone that is around you is dramatizing, you have to shut them out, but you don't shut down your mind. And if you do, you're going to wind up with aberration. So people habitually will go into an unconscious mode. It's easier to tune out than to try to actually deal with things. So a lot of times that's what we do. We'll tune out. We've got to learn how to not just tune out. We've got to learn how to, you have to learn how to tune out, but not turn off your analytical mind. Because if you do, you can pick up aberrations from the person's dramatizations. And this is especially true with children and parents, or those of us with authority figures. If you're in a relationship with a person that's acting out, you can pick up engrams from them. If you're a child, you can pick up engrams from your parents. And we just have to, it calls us all to learning to run our brains and learning to run our brains in a much more efficient manner. And one of the great examples of an engram is President Trump and the MAGA derangement syndrome. You know, President Trump, when he gets this look on his face like, yeah, you know what? I don't care. It is what it is. I know you don't like it. I know it pisses you off. But President Trump, he just throws this out. He just throws this out. And he doesn't give a good goddamn of how it affects you or what you think. He's just being him because he's doing his thing and he hasn't got time to worry about the whiners. But when the communists and the sympathizers see and hear President Trump say some of the things that he says and do some of the things that he does, they actually lose their conscious mind. They actually go into partial unconsciousness. They lose their mind. Oh, I lost my mind. You did lose your mind when President Trump said that. You went into a partial state of unconsciousness. And in this state, they can and do pick up engrams from their own dramatization and that of people around them. So the people that hate President Trump, the people that hate people that are MAGA'd up, they are actually shutting down their analytical mind and passing engrams around to each other. And all they have to do is see President Trump. All they have to do is see a red hat. All they have to do is see somebody not wearing a mask, and they're automatically triggered, which really means re-stimulated into an engram because of the dramatization. And that drops them into partial unconsciousness, which gives them even more engrams. So it is important to be present constantly. It's important to be diligent. It's important to be intentional. And you have to remember your mind is always on. So you've got to always be cognizant with your mind. And this is way too advanced for some people, and that's okay. We're not here for everybody. And I know this look right here. I know this look. I understand this look. I have it a lot. And it's an attitude. And I've got it. And I'm not even going to try to apologize for it. Because he and I ain't got time for the bullshit. As Tracy says, control your mind or somebody else will. No doubt about it. And there's people lined up that want to do it. And how it works, the mechanics of it, very, very simple. And this lockdown, this pandemic, stupid 19, controller, lockdown is very, very emblematic of how they do what they do. People who are under stress, if they have aberrations, and we all do, in the hundreds, we all have aberrations. People who are under stress, if they have aberrations, and they all do, will dramatize engrams. And when you're around people that are dramatizing engrams, that's a great way for you to pick up engrams. And you don't have to be at a certain store. You can be right in the house with your own people. So the dose and whisk lockdowns, etc., are aberration factories. For individuals who are even alone, you know that you can be re-stimulated and you can get an engram from your own dramatization, even though you really had it in the beginning. Let me try to explain. Let's say that you have a engram from some time when you were in the womb and it hasn't been keyed in yet. In other words, there hasn't been an event that re-stimulated it and allowed it to be keyed in. And you're all by yourself because you're locked down from the stupid 19. And you see Fredo on TV. Don't know why you're watching CNN, but you see Fredo. And Fredo says one of his normal stupid things. And it triggers that engram that's in you. And you lose it. You yell, you scream, you cuss. And all of a sudden you realize you're dramatizing. And if you're not careful, your own dramatizing has re-stimulated that initial engram and it has made it even stronger. So then you got to regroup. You got to take care. You gotta to make a new plan. And that's one of the things that those of us that are passionate have to learn to deal with. There are times to be passionate. There's times to be impassioned. But again, you've got to be impassioned in a way that you're fully, completely, and totally in your analytical mind. Brandon says, be Zen. I'm not sure that Zen is the thing, because Zen is just kind of like, and to me, that is a reduction in analytical mind. No, you got to be better than Zen. You can't be a bitchy little Zen. You got to be better than Zen. Zens are bitches. Zen is for bitches. You got to be fully engaged. You got to be fully locked and fully loaded. You got to be taking it all in, but you got to be able to put it all in its own, each thing in its own peg. Cynthia's got this whole place out here she got from a store, and it's one of those things from an old country store. It's got all these bins and all these cubbies. You got to freaking do it. You got to take it all in. You got to experience it all, but you got to be grown enough to not allow it to run you. You got to sort it out. And the way that you become a badass is not hiding from things. The way you become a badass is not avoiding things. The way you become a badass is learning to take in all the stimuli that this world throws at you and say, bitch, please, I got this. You go here, you go there, you go here, you go there. You just get the hell out of here. Christianity, spirituality, New Age, all that bullshit. And that's right, I said bullshit. They all are varying ways of reducing your analytical mind a little bit. So you can act like you're woke, but inside you're becoming more of a joke because you're getting more and more aberrated. Christians, New Agers, Zen bitches, they're the most aberrated mofos on the planet, because they want to you can't your ass. You can all you want. You can your ass, but your brain ain't gonna I'm so yeah, but your analytical mind is still WFO. That's why, language alert, wide fucking open. And it's still gonna come in. So it's all a joke. It's all another joke on you and on me. Tracy says, suppressing emotions is just as toxic. Yes, it is. Tracy said, let the energy flow. Guess what? The energy going to flow whether you want it to or not. And it's going to flow over you whether you want it to or not. You just got to decide what you want it to flow into and where you want it to flow. And if you don't, it'll flow into all your holes. Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. Carly's a little bit peace, a little bit love, and a little bit fuck you. But she's sending me and everyone positive healing vibes, much love and light, favor, and blessings. I don't really want the love and light. That's a little too foo-foo for me, but that's okay. The favor, I'm not even sure I want that. The blessings, I don't, because those are blessings. See, this is where I'm at, Carly, because I'm a little bit peace, love, and fuck you as well. People would describe me as like 52%. Well, let me put it in female terms. It's easier for me. Carly is probably like 52% sweetheart, 48% bitch. In a good way. In a good way, Carly. In a really good way. But you know what I'm saying. And that's not a bad way to be. You got to be in a place where you can direct the traffic. You're a traffic cop. And you are directing traffic that's coming at you, and it's never going to stop. You just got to learn how to direct it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that's if you're alone. But if you're not alone, you can get dramatized by all those people in your house being dramatized, and you can pick up more and more Engrams, ladies and gentlemen. So people who are under stress, if they're aberrated, and we all are, will pick up Engrams. Thus, the dose and whisk lockdowns are aberration factories for individuals, and even worse for those around dramatizers. Because sometimes you can't get away. because of this dose and whist from people you'd like to get away from. And you know what? I'm going to say something crazy. I know it's unusual. I'm going to say something extreme. I know that never happens, but you know what? This lockdown has probably been a real gift for some of you, because this lockdown has shown some of you that you are in relationships with people that you should not be in relationships with. And you need to have enough guts to listen to yourself. You need to have enough guts to listen to your own internal blink that says, you know what? This guy ain't the one. This girl ain't the one. This person, because in times of stress, you see who people really are. And especially if you're dating, you don't see who they really are because they're on their best behavior because you're dating. But when they're under stress, you're getting as real a read as on them as you're going to get in the dating when they're faking you out anyway. So just let me help you out. And this is a guy, I'm a guy that I'm on my 4th marriage. So what are you doing giving relationship advice? Because I know how to screw stuff up. I'm an expert on how not to do it. And did you know that you could learn a lot from people that are experts on how not to do it? Because all you have to do is look at what they do and say, I'm doing the other thing. And that's not a bad strategy in many cases. And I finally figured it out. And just in my own defense, I was married once for 16 years and then once for 18 months and then once for like 25 days. So I learned, right? 16 years. So I do know how to have a relationship. 16 years, that's a long time. 18 months, at least didn't take me 16 years to figure it out, right? And then the next time, didn't even take me a month to figure it out. But then you got to say, and I had to sit back and say, you know what? You ask yourselves questions like, why do I always attract crazy people? And your brain gives you all these informations, and most of it's bad, because you have to realize I dated a lot of crazy women. I dated a lot of aberrated women, but I looked at the bottom line. I looked at the one common denominator in all the crazy. And guess what it was? It was me. I'm the one that made the decision to date the crazy broads. I'm the one that made the decision to date people that were dramatic. And as I look back on it, I dated so many people. You know, Shane says, stay away from women with daddy issues. Well, it depends upon what you're looking for. Depends upon what you're looking for. In general, I would agree. If you're looking for a long-term healthy relationship, you probably shouldn't hang around with chicks with daddy issues. But if you're kind of, you know what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. And Mike hits it on the head. And I used to think this was true, but it's really not. He says crazy women are more fun. Crazy women are never boring. Never boring. But sooner or later, you realize this shit just ain't worth it. This shit just ain't worth it. And I finally found one that is hot, that ain't crazy as hell, and ain't all dramatic, but it took me a while. But the point is, you'll never, how come I never find anybody that I'm compatible? How come I can't find a good relationship? Because you're a mess. Because you haven't said, look, the only thing that's common in all my relationships is me. Me. I'm picking crazy. I'm dating crazy. I'm dating drama. So you stop. I went for 18 months. I only meant to be 6 months, but it turned into 18. I didn't date. I didn't talk to girls. I didn't even let a girl cut my hair. That's how focused I was. Cynthia says, when Jeff makes up his mind to do something, he's going to do it. And it's true. Get Dagger, that might be why you're a mess, because you keep saying I'm a mess. Don't say that. Why do I appear to be a mess? Now your brain will give you good data. How can I stop being a mess? Now your brain will give you good data. I know you know this. So, yeah, crazy women are fun. Daddy issues can be fun, but sooner or later you got to grow up, and you got to, and those of us that are on this great journey, those of us that have the great call of the Aryan blood, you knew it would come up. We're looking for our Valkyrie. We're looking for that male, that female to balance our male and help us be, boom, what we need to be. So bottom line is, if you're dating somebody, number one, they're on their best behavior. They're on their best behavior. And it's never going to get any better. If you're dating someone, while you're dating them, it will never get better. They will never be better than they are while you're dating them. So if they're doing something that bothers you while you're dating them, multiply it by 50 if you ever decide to get married. And then you're caught and they'll act how they want to act. You won't be dating anymore. And if it bugs you now while you're dating, you can't change them, and it's going to get worse. And so many people right now are so lonely and so empty that they'd rather accept relationships with people they know are aberrated, that they know bug the shit out of them, because they'd rather be aberrated and bugged as shit than to be alone. And that is a sad commentary, because you will never get your ass straight until you are alone. Don't accept a fixer-upper. And you can't fix anything else up until you fix yourself up. You can't fix anybody else's aberrations until you face your own aberrations. It's just the fact. So all these people and all these relationships, you're in the lockdown. Oh, I don't like this about her. I don't like that about her. Wake up and move out. Pack their shit. Send them down the road. You don't need that, and it will hold you back, and it'll be worse later than it is now. And it all goes back to aberration. So this lockdown might be a benefit to you in disguise if you can be mature enough and adult enough to sit back and say, whoa, this shit ain't no good. I don't like that. I don't like how he does that. I don't like how she does that. And if they show you who they are, you got to believe them. If they show you they're lazy, and they ain't never going to be not lazy. If they show that they're babies, they're always going to be babies. If they show that they have a short temper, they're always going to have a short temper. If they show, I know, ladies, he's this and he's that, but damn, he's good in the bedroom. You know what? One of these days, it may not have happened yet, but one of these days, you're going to wake up. And my best friend, we've been friends since we were 11. He said it was I remember he called me like 3 years ago. He says, it's the craziest thing, Jeff. I said, what? He says, I woke up this morning and I realized that sex is not the most important thing in the world. And I'm like, what? Come on. Bedroom skills can only carry relationships so far. Or so fat, and that can diminish. But anyway, think about this. I did the math. If you're in a really, really hot sexual relationship, I would define that as having sex 3 times a week or more. Let's say you have sex every day, and let's say that you have the stamina of a god, and you have sex for an hour every time you do it. That's 7 hours a week, right? But you know what? In a week, ladies and gentlemen, there is 24 times 7 hours, which equals 168 hours. Even if you are knocking the bottom out of that ass for an hour every day, even if you're oh my godding and multiple orgasms and pulling hair and slapping faces and giving spankings and wearing masks and gags, and you got little anyway, you get the point. Even if you're all about that shit for, let's say, 10 hours a week, you're a freak. 10 hours a week, right? So 10 hours a week, and that's like crazy sex. 10 divided by 168 equals, that's 5%. 5%. Do you see what I'm getting at? It don't matter how good the sex is, it's 5% of life. What about the other 95? Ain't nobody hot enough to be miserable 95% of the times just to knock the bottom out of that ass 5% of the time. It ain't worth it. Do the math. One of these days you'll wake up and realize that. Hopefully you'll wake up and realize that before you're too damn old to do anything about it. Now, I realize that I come from a place where I'll stop there because Cynthia will come in here and hit me, but some few of us get to have their cake and eat it too. But it's only because you have the discipline to say, look, the hell with that. The hell with that. It's the takeaway. You don't really get it good until you decide, I don't need it. I don't need it. We're talking about using the lockdown to turn your life around and to make some good decisions. You now know if you're living with somebody, especially over this lockdown, you know who they are. You know what they are. And if you're not like, if you're not 100% sure they're the one, pack their shit or pack yours and go. Let me give you a little clue. There's almost 10 million people on this planet, they tell us. There's almost 10 million people on this planet. Do the math. There's another one coming in 5 minutes. It's like a bus. Go do yourself a favor. We can't hardly do this anymore, but I remember one day I went to the mall, and I felt like this is back when I was a Christian, so it was really my higher self, but I was saying, oh, God took me to the mall, so I sat down in the mall, and I started watching people in the mall, and guess what? There's a lot of hot chicks in this world. There are. You got big boob ones, you got small boob ones, long hair, short hair, tall, short, skinny, curvy. There's a lot of beautiful women in this world. And I watched for like 45 minutes, and then I'm like, what am I supposed to be learning here? Oh, shit. Hotness is very, very common. It's very, very common. But what is not very, very common is somebody that's not crazy as shit. What's not very, very common is somebody that you can not only stand, but will make you better. So this whole dose and whist has given you a chance to reevaluate who you're with. And if they are not checking all the boxes, then pack theirs or pack yours. I'm trying to help a brother out. I'm trying to help a sister out. Because beauty's common. Hotness is common. And remember, you got to live with that person 100% of the time, and the hot part's only 5%, and that's if you're just a crazy freak. And most of you aren't, let's be honest. That 5% of hotness is not worth 95% of this lazy son of a bitch or this bitchy bitch. We're being real, ladies and gentlemen. We're being real, ladies and gentlemen. We're being real. And remember, Jimmy Swaggart once told me, He said, Jeffrey, just remember, it's the only time I ever heard him cuss. It doesn't matter how hot she is, somebody somewhere is sick of her shit. And it's true. It's true. But sometimes you get really, really fortunate and everything, and then you get one that's really, really hot, and there ain't no shit with it. And you're like, damn. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to get in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not the only way that contagion of aberration goes about. And the lockdowns, I think, are actually probably a huge key in exercise, because when you've got aberrations, and we all do, they lay there dormant until stress comes along, and you dramatize them, and that keys them in, and now they're locked in. So this whole dose and whisk is to get people isolated, to get people in close quarters and have to deal with these people. They know, the Sanhedrin knows that 90% of relationships are effed up. They know that because they know 90% of people are stupid. And 90% of people would rather be with somebody that's bad than be alone. What kind of a person are you if you'd rather be with someone that you know isn't really what you want than to be alone? I feel so sorry for you because I was there. But when you realize that it's okay to be alone, and when you realize and get to the place where you can stand your own company and you love your own company, I'm almost on the other side of that. Cynthia has to say to me, okay, today you are getting your ass out of the house. Put your clothes on. You're coming with me. We're going out of the house. Because I don't need nobody but me and her. And I don't really need her, but I like having her around. You know what I'm saying? But I got everything I need right here. Why the hell I got to go into town? Ain't nothing in town that I ain't got right here. Tracy says it. I am my favorite person to be with. Well, I'd rather, with Cynthia, being with me is really being with her too. So anyway, but yeah, I'm my favorite person to be with. I didn't always used to be. I didn't think that I had any value unless I had a hot chick on my arm. And some of you are still at that place where I was, that you'd rather be with somebody that you know you shouldn't be with than to be alone because you can't stand yourself. Man, that's a mess. And these lockdowns, if you will allow them to be, is a great eye-opening for you. But most of you don't have the guts to leverage it. I'm sorry that this got so long, but somebody needed to hear this. People under anesthesia, people that get in fights and get, knocked, and your analytical mind goes down because you got knocked a little crazy. People that get in accidents, get their head beat. People that are deeply depressed. Think about it. When you're deeply depressed, like we are right now, when you're deeply depressed, your analytical mind is shut down a little bit. When you're in high anxiety, your analytical mind is shut down and you're just acting crazy. All of those things create diminished consciousness. And during diminished consciousness, all the stimuli in your environment becomes an ENGRAM, and all people present become balances. We'll talk about balances in a minute. You're at home, you're locked down, and some of you haven't learned how to not have a TV running 24/7 in the background. Some of you haven't learned how to not have something in the background running, because some of you can't stand silence because you can't stand your own thoughts. And I'm talking to the people that are aware. If you have to have something playing 24/7, there's something wrong with you and you need to address that. If you can't stand silence, there's something wrong with you and you need to address that. You're at home, you got CNN, you got Fox, you got whatever playing in the background 24/7. You're depressed because you're at home. You're anxious because you're at home. Your analytical mind is turned down. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to me. I could say some bullshit every now and then that could cause a restimulation of an Engram in you. You got to get better about that. I'm trying to help you. And if you sleep listening to stuff, oh man, come on, really? Come on, really? And all the stimuli in the environment, whatever you listen to, can be a source of Engrams. And if you're listening to anything over media, if you're listening to most anything over YouTube, it's full of engramic bullshit. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. And what happens when you're in silence? You got to think. Why don't you ever want to be in silence? Because you don't want to think. Why don't you want to think? Because you're afraid of what you might think about. Do you know that you'll never have any real profound change in your life until you put yourself in places of being alone and being quiet? Period. You are never getting any better than you are right now unless you learn to cultivate quietness and to cultivate solitude. And those two things together, you know, they show you who you are, and it might scare the shit out of you. It scared me. I was not happy with who I was. And you can either keep pretending that you're not, or you can face up and say, damn, I'm a wreck. I need to turn my shit around. And a valence just means a different, it's like if you're in a room with 10 people, there's 11 valences there, 11 personalities that you could take and manifest. And they all go into your brain the same way. And in an Engram, you might end up being any one of any of those 10 people. Any of those 11 people, including yourself. So it's important to be mindful of what birds you flock with, especially if we go back to that 5% of the time, you know, the flocking that you're doing. You got to make sure you're flocking with the right feathers, right? Be mindful of what birds you flock with. Don't be flocking with these birds on the wire. These birds on the wire. These birds on the wire that never done it, but they never done it themselves, but they know enough to know that I'm doing it wrong. These birds that sit on the wire that have never done a goddamn thing themselves, but they know how to come into my chat room and tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I need to do it right. These birds that sit on the wire and criticize the eagles that are flying there, they're not doing it right. They don't know. They don't. You're on a wire, you little dirty bird. Shut the hell up. Don't be the bird on the wire. Be the eagle that's trying to get something done that ain't got time to sit on no wire. Just thought I'd throw that in. Parents and children. Parents are certain to infect their children with Engrams. The father and the mother, in dramatizing their own Engrams around sick or injured children, pass them along just as sure as they were bacteria. And guess what? That crazy bitch or that silly bastard that you're with, in life, you're going to be sick, you're going to be injured, your analytical mind's going to be down, and that crazy bastard is going to infect you with his Engrams by your close proximity to him. I could be fall out, knocked out, and if I keep going, I might experience that with Cynthia around here, and I don't have to worry about picking up any Engrams. Well, mostly I don't have to worry about it. But anything I pick up from her is a positive. Anything I can pick up from her is a positive. That's why I'm here. Have the guts to leave. Have the guts to be alone if being with someone doesn't help you. If Cynthia didn't make me better with her, I wouldn't be here. I didn't move from Florida to Kansas because she completed me. That's bullshit. I moved from Florida to Kansas after a test drive because she made me better. And there ain't no bullshit. These are the things and the conversations that you have to have with yourself if you want to be in a place of unindoctrination and optimization. A child's Ingram bank is not solely composed of parental hand-me-downs. There's a whole world out there of aberration, and your aberrations won't be solely composed of the aberrations of that piece of shit that you're with. And they may not be a piece of shit. They just may not be the right person for you, and you're too broke, busted, and disgusted to be alone with yourself. Cynthia says, who was doing the testing? Oh, come on. Everybody knows I'm perfect. You ain't got to test that. There's a whole world out there that makes you subject to Ingrams and dramatization and re-stimulation. At home, it should be a safe place. In your relationship, it should be a safe place. And sometimes the only safe place is by your damn self. Some of you need to pack some boxes. Some of you need to give some boxes to some people and say, hey, appreciate it, but you got to go. You got to go. It's time. It's time. If things go the way we want them to go, it's going to be the best American century ever, and you don't need any dead weight. If things don't go the way we want them to go, then you really don't want any dead weight. Patricia says no one is perfect. I'm offended by that remark. I'm offended by that remark. It's inevitable that aberrated parents, and you all are, will pass on aberration to your kids. It's inevitable that aberrated partners will pass on aberration to you, especially if you're flocking together. And you are. If it bugs you now and you're just dating, it's going to drive you crazy if you let it stay. Pack a box. Give a box. It's time to end a bunch of relationships in America. I'm sorry, my friends. I'm like Bernie Mac. America, it's time to end some relationships. I'm just trying to be public servant to others. You know what else really helps aberrations? Of course, you can't read this slide, but superstition really helps Ingrams. And the contagion of aberration is much stronger in a primitive tribe and or in a highly superstitious cultural environment like Christianity. Like Christianity. The falsity of superstitious data makes for dandy Ingrams. Birth itself is a most remarkable Ingram in the terms of contagion. Tina says, I kind of disagree. Depends on how many factors if you should leave. That's because you ain't happy with Tina yet. Come on now. You came out in the chat room. I'm coming right back. That means that you ain't really happy with Tina yet, because Tina's decided that Tina would rather be with somebody that has, I don't know what your over-under is, Tina. Is it 10 things that you fucking hate, or is it 6 things that you fucking hate? Or maybe it's 3 that you're willing to put up with. Me, 0. 0. He makes me grow. He makes you grow angry. He makes you grow. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to try to talk you off the ledge of stupid. I kind of disagree because you don't got a grip on Tina yet. We're moving on. I'm sorry. I should never look at the chat. Birth itself is a remarkable Ingram in terms of contagion. And I've been in the birth room 3 times for 3 kids, so I know what I'm talking about. Mothers and children often receive the same Ingrams, albeit with different corresponding somatics. Somatics is the physical manifestations of an Ingram. A mother, and I mean, the ladies are there. They got this freaking huge thing coming out through a thing that isn't huge. And there's blood and there's guts and they're drugged up and they're in pain. And they say some women in the child birthing room say some weird shit. Oh, I'm so ashamed. What about the person that's having a kid out of wedlock and they're all messed up? I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed. I'll never be the same again. I'll never be the same again. This is going to wreck me. This is going to destroy me. And the baby hears that shit. So the woman got an Engram of I'll never be the same again because that thing's all stretched out and they don't think no woman's ever going to, man or woman or man's ever going to want them again. And the baby's like, I'm so ashamed. Oh, shit, they're ashamed of me. And now I go through life with shame. Maybe she's used to take her cross. Patricia, you just hit it. Why would you take up your cross? That's stupid. Why would you pick up a cross? Because you're stupid and you're aberrated and you got blood poisoning. Why would you pick up a cross? Why would anybody with a damn brain in their head pick up a cross, much less daily? No, I don't want that cross. Why the hell would I pick up a cross, a torture implement? Something that bitches. No, I'm not picking up my cross. I don't have a cross. That ain't my cross. I am not. It's like, oh, my arthritis, my diabetes. Well, it ain't mine. It ain't yours. Quit saying that. Quit saying that. We get in all kinds of rabbit holes today. So everybody and anything and everything that's said in that birth room can be an Engram to both mother and child who are clearly in relative states of unconsciousness. I'm trying to show you how all this works. Remember Mommy Dearest? What are these wire hangers? How tragic can it be when a mother's voice can be a huge Engram trigger in your child? Your mother lost her damn mind when you were being born, said a bunch of crazy shit. You heard it, and now it's Engrams in your mind. And every time you hear her voice, it's like, oh. It's not because you don't love your mother. It's because your mother said some stupid shit when you were being born and you picked it up and you don't know enough about this yet. So a mother's voice can be a huge Engram, a huge trigger, a huge reach stimulator in her own child. Some of you are like, oh shit, that makes sense. Now I know why. Likewise, the sight, the sound, or even the presence of their own child can be a huge re-stimulator to a mother. And the mother and the child are constantly re-stimulating each other every time they're around each other. They're mutually re-stimulating each other continuously, and I'm not talking about any weirdness. And they can be re-stimulated by the same reoccurring environmental stimuli from the birth day. Was there a door slammed? Was there certain phrases said? Was there horns honking? Did they drop a bunch of instruments? All of that stuff. All of that stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That just sent some huge lights off for some people. Like, ding, oh, now I get it. Oh, now I understand. Oh, now I got it. And now you know how to deal with it. All right. That was Mommy Dearest, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mommy Dearest. Doctors getting angry and yelling, nurses screaming and barking orders, dropped instruments, various idle chat, various idle talk. It's all the stuff that Engrams are made of. Many a mother voicing words of shame or regret during deliveries led to children suffering from shame and abandonment issues. The more aberrated a society, the more aberrated its members. Wow. That explains a lot about the USA Today, and I'm not talking about a newspaper. Wow. Wow. Amazing stuff. If you're in a relationship that all you do is complain about it, it's time to pack a box or give a box. We're living in a country that is aberrated as hell. We're living in a society that's aberrated as hell. And the reality is that most of us don't have the guts to admit that we're aberrated as hell. Can you catch crazy? Yes, you can. And there's a lot of sources from whence it can be caught. And it's funny because, the kind of the catchphrase of that Heath Ledger Joker character, right? Why so serious? Think about that. Think about what we've talked about. Galen, you can Google that phrase. And the same time that you took to type that to me, you could have typed it into a search browser and got the answer. Or you could go to the Create Yourself playlist. Well, why can't you just tell me? Because I don't work that way. We don't do it that way here. And I know it upsets some of you, and I know it frustrates some of you. And why does Jeff have to be so mean? But I blame it on my dad. Dad, how do you spell this? Look it up. But as a result, I've got an expansive vocabulary. Jeff, how do you define this? Look it up. Or don't, because I don't care. I really don't. I only got the time to deal with the people that'll look shit up. If you don't want to look shit up, 2 words, and it's not an F and a U. It's simply a, well, bye. Jeff, you're so harsh. Sometimes. But I guarantee you the person that said that will never forget that again. And the next time, there'll be this moment of hesitation the next time they decide to ask somebody something. It'll be like, hey, I remember that time that asshole on YouTube blew my doors off right in front of everybody because I asked. But am I right or am I wrong? The time it takes to put a question in a chat room, can you not put it in a URL bar and get an objective answer from somebody that isn't on YouTube? I'm just saying. That's part of our problem. We don't want to do our own work. We want somebody else to do our work for us. We want somebody else to do our work for us. And how many times have I said that if you hear a word that you don't understand and you go past it, it's reducing your ability to understand by up to 60% everything else that is said after that. So you got to have a dictionary. And if you got almost said a bad word. If you got a phone in your hand, guess what? You got a dictionary. You got a dictionary. And and I do it constantly. The first time when you hear something you don't understand, you got to look it up, and it's called clearing the word. You've got to define it, or your mind will be reduced in ability to pick up anything that's said afterwards. That's why some of you people still listen to some of the idiots that you still listen to. Well, they said that. I don't really know what they mean, but I'm going to keep listening because they're cute or they make me feel good. They stimulate my Engrams. I feel all warm and fuzzy. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Do for you. Do for you. Carmen says, I always tell the truth. Probably not, Carmen, because even I don't always tell the truth. I used to always tell the truth, but then Cynthia instructed me that there's times when you don't want to tell the truth. Like when you're at dinner with family and somebody says something, or even if they ask you something, there's times where you don't tell them the truth. I've learned that. I'm 57 years old, and I finally figured it out. I finally figured it out. There are some times where you don't tell the truth. And if you do, you won't have to worry about picking up Engrams from people anymore because they won't be there anymore for you to pick them up from, or you won't be there. Little joke, but you know what I'm saying. Wow. So can you catch crazy? Yes, you can. And you will catch crazy until you get control of your own mind, until you get comfortable with your own company, until you get comfortable with silence, and until you do the inner work on you. Until you do the inner work on you. Period. Period. Well, Tina, you say being brutally honest gets you in trouble. I'm going to go back into Tina. Everybody ready? Then why don't you be brutally honest with that bastard that you're talking about earlier and defending him? Tell him, look, this shit right here bugs me. Stop it. Because there's 5 million men on this planet. And I'm good looking enough to get another one anytime I want. So shape up or ship out. Be brutally honest. See? You're not being brutally honest, even with yourself or the rest of us here today. Dr. Jeff is in the house. The doctor is in. Ay. Ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm right. I may be harsh as shit, but I'm right. Rod Ling with one of my favorite movie lines. Go sell crazy somewhere else because we're all stocked up here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, folks, it's been fun. It's been interesting. Do these pants make me look fat? The answer to that is no. No. Does this make me look fat? No. There's not even a question. No, doesn't. No. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Rigorous self-honesty from Bob, me. Absolutely. That's what we need. That's what we need. Tomorrow we'll be here for high noon in the Heartland. We'll be here for late night in the Heartland. Wednesday night or Wednesday at noon, we've got Clayton and Jeffrey from Focus Life Force Energy. Wednesday night will be our every other week discussion with the one, the only Mike King. This is going to be a big week for us, ladies and gentlemen, in the United States of America and in the entire world, because the Wednesday is the 20th. It's going to be interesting stuff. And some of you are already worried about what I'm going to talk about on Monday night. And to be frank with you, I'm not sure how that's going to go on Monday night. Because, you know, I've never been a big, huge Q guy. That's never been like my deal, right? But I know a lot of you are great, big, huge Q guys. A lot of you are great, big, huge Q girls. And I get it. And I understand that. But you know me, I will ask the questions that nobody else wants to ask. I will tackle the issues that no one else wants to tackle. I will look at the things that nobody else wants to look at, and I will stare them down point blank. And on Monday night, where is my dandy, wonderful little thing that I made? My little thumbnail. It's such a good thumbnail, and I can't seem to find it right now. Oh, there it is. There's that thumbnail. Some of you won't like this, but I got to talk about it on Monday night because Ken, the C60 guy, and did you see my little thing about the thing? I don't think I did put it out yet. Sorry. Ken, the C60 guy, showed me this. And I have to ask. Monday night, late night in the Heartland, is Q, yeah, we're saying it because of the context, is Q an old Bolshevik lie? Stunning wake-up call from Soviet history. Is Q an old Bolshevik lie? Late night in the Heartland, Monday night, 10 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen. And see, we've already started. Tracy says, I think that's a trap. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But we've got to investigate it. We've got to look at it. We've got to get to the bottom of it, because that's just what we do. And see, I'm self-censoring. Cynthia's teaching me. I just realized when I was 57 years old that you don't always have to say everything that comes into your mind. And usually it's better if you don't. But if you're ever wondering, does he even like us? He does. Does he even care about us? He does. Or else why would he do what he's doing? I could get a lot more subscribers and make some money doing things a different way. But I do like you, and I do care. And Cynthia says she is trying to make me a better man. She's trying. And she's having some great success. Some great success. I don't know what happened to the talker there. It got stuck. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, they put us in this lockdown. Let's get something good out of this lockdown. Let's be honest with ourselves. And it is not unloving to say to that person, look, it's just not going to work. Here's a box. It's not unloving to say to that person, hey, look, I packed these boxes. It's just not working. Do yourself a favor. Do them a favor. Do the other people in your life a favor. If they're not perfect, get the hell out. If they're not perfect, pack a box or give a box. I'm telling you, it'll save you so much. And it'll be all right. In fact, it'll be much better. Just learn to be alone. Persona, she's right. Another Jack Nicholson quote. You make me want to be a better man. Sometimes the truth hurts. And sometimes you need an asshole to tell you the truth. And of course, my theme song, I'm an asshole. ASSHOLE. I'm an asshole. We know it. And that is not your normal Sunday. And it wasn't. And I appreciate you very much. Kind of a weird show, but we said some stuff that needed to be said. Maybe we learned some stuff that needed to be learned. And maybe it'll help us all want to be a better man or a better woman. But one thing we know for sure, Tina, you keep talking yourself into a hole. No, he doesn't. Nobody makes you anything. One thing I can promise you, though, as I walk out of my appointment and look around the waiting room, I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not as good as it gets. It gets better starting right now. The world's still going to be better than it's ever been, sooner than you can ever imagine. All you got to do is decide, because whether you think it will or whether you think it won't, you're right. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, hopefully empowering you to unindoctrinate yourself. You are divine. You are sovereign. You are free. We are the last generation of real humans. And it's far, far past time for us to get busy. See you soon, folks.